Hi, I'm Laura. I'm a physical therapist and the creator of the Lit Yoga Method. Today is a Feedback Friday with my friend Leslie McKee. So I'm going to examine her movement and give her feedback. So let's get started.
Hi Laura and Greg, I'm so glad you're doing this. I was hoping for some help because I subluxed my first rib back in March, and then
First rib is located right above the collarbone
and dislocated my left shoulder.
Oy.
So I just graduated PT, and I am feeling pretty good. Things are stable, but I feel like my whole shoulder girdle is being pulled by my neck. So I'm really trying to get my shoulder blades on my back. Even as we're talking, I can see them rounded. And just trying to kind of find my home base again, my starting line. So any tips you have would be fantastic. I'm gonna do one of your Instagram sequences. Thank you.
All right, here we go. Nice hinge. Lifting the head, that's good. And it's really nice because she's not leading with her head, but she's truly turning in that thoracic spine. Her eyeballs are going up a little bit. There we go. Mm-hmm. All right. Pulling that head back, warrior variation, and rolling. So essentially you're trying to find freedom in your neck, I can see, and that connection into the scapula. Runner stretch. All right. So I'm going to stop there and let's just look at the runner stretch into the standing L. So Leslie, what I'm seeing is what you're feeling, which is that the neck is harboring a lot of tension, and your scapula needs actually to be lifted more from underneath, and I'll show you what I mean. So when you're doing like that warrior variation, you were releasing the neck nicely and moving the shoulder, but I'd like you to lift this bottom scapula up more and give support pull the scapula onto the back as you're moving here and releasing the neck. And then when you went into the side lunge, this was nice and you added a twist, but you still tried to look up. I would just let the head fully release here and unlock some of that tension by reaching the arm up and letting the head dangle. When you came for the runner stretch, you're slightly protracted. It's not obvious, but because we want to get the scapula really pulled onto the back and the front of the throat lifted up, you might need to come onto your fingertips or blocks. So we want to get out of any of the protraction and pull. And then when you come into your bent knee standing split, you want to hold that. So your right leg was starting to lift because your scapula were already started a little protracted as opposed to neutral. So again, maybe on the fingertips or a block so that you're really getting the scapula connected and pulled. That scapula strength is going to be so important to unburden the neck, especially that first rib. Because if they're being dragged down and the scapula is depressed, it's going to pull. It's going to make it feel depressed. So your issue is not that you're really kind of hiked up here. I think you're more too dragged down and you need more of the upward lift under the armpit. So a lot of people need this feeling of the humeral head being lifted so it's not pulled down, which burdens the neck. And that first rib right at the clavicle can also get kind of pulled out of place when the head of the humerus is loaded and just hanging. We want it supported from the scapula. So let's look at the rest. So coming up nicely, neck is nice there. Keep that, that's where again, I would really get the scapula more pulled together. You want to feel a sense of retraction, and then your wrist is forward of your shoulder here. So get it under your shoulder so you can really connect that left scapula. And then let that head release, 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 release. That's it. And when the wrist is a little bit more under the shoulder, you'll get more of an upward lift into that top elbow. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. That's a nice stretch for the neck. That looks good there. Rolling in the humeral head and getting that lift of the scapula as you're doing that. Side lunge. Here you go again. Don't look up. Try and relax the neck. Relax it. See, she's holding it up. So, and there's the runner stretch. So you can see it again here. The shoulder blades are kind of pulling away, and you need them to be settled onto the back. That looks a little bit better, but you can still see the thoracic spine is rounded. And then she's coming into plank. Same thing, shoulders need to be over the wrist. A little bit too far back. So when they're too far back, that actually puts your scapula in a bit of a depressed position. Your down dog is looking pretty good. And hinge forward. Okay, so let's examine what I was saying. With that, when you're in this position, I'll do it this way so you can see it, where you have the left shoulder, your shoulder was behind your wrist, and then you can't really get that pull as much. You're pulling the elbow, but you're not getting the grounded. So let's get the shoulder over the wrist, pull this up by pushing down, release the neck so you can unstuff the neck, lift up in that armpit more. You got to get that shoulder. It's even beyond the wrist. Yours was too far back from it. And then same thing in your plank, your shoulders were a little bit here. You want them over the wrist, and then the scapula. So here, the scapula are actually kind of being pulled down. Here, I'm getting them right into a good alignment where they're pulled into the back. And that's really important. And then when you lift into down dog, you keep that upward lift and really, I would elevate the scapula here. That actually is an action you probably need more of, that scapula scrubbing. But the scapula need to be pulled onto the back as you do it, so hold the front ribs in. And then when you step forward, you've got a bit of thoracic flexion here. I would get your hands on blocks or fingertips and connect the scapula onto the rib cage here. Here, they're sliding away. So we need more of that scapular stability. So when you stand up, it's already set in place, and then the shoulder, the humeral head has more support. A lot of the other things look good, where your head is, where your head was in your warrior variation, circling there, but I would just continue to think, how can I pull the scapula? So I would do a lot of this where your hands are forward and you're just pulling the scapula toward the chest. That action of pulling the scapula toward the chest, not letting that shoulder drop down, but really giving it support from underneath. And then all the good core work will help with that as well. So that's my feedback for Leslie. She did a great job, especially after some major injuries. So keep at it, Leslie. And if you're interested in me examining your movement, which would be so fun, it's really just to give you free feedback so you can move and feel your best. Make sure that you fill in the link below and send us a video anywhere up to 8 minutes. So this was a shorter video, but you can send up to 8 minutes and I can take a look at it, and we'll do a feedback Friday just for you. So until then, keep moving. Check out our Lit Daily if you haven't already for more of this type of movement and education. We are here for you.